Now that we've got our hands on the pre-patch for Shadowlands, we've also got a brand new starting zone. So in this video, I'm going to begin summarizing every single quest that a ton of people will most likely skip and not read while starting their new characters on Exiles Reach. So if you want to know the quest lore that happens in the new area, but you have no intention of starting a new character, then sit back, relax, and find out what's going on in World of Warcraft. Before we get started, if this is your first time here, my name is Cameron and I summarize the quest lore that so many skipped reading while playing their characters in World of Warcraft. I was one of those people and now I'm going back to the beginning, reading every single quest, then sharing what I've learned with all of you. So if you wanted to know more about the quest lore, then this is the place to be. Having said that, we've got a new starting zone called Exiles Reach, and I think that it's only right that we find out what's going on over there. Now we're going to take a look at it through the Alliance side, but just know that the quests are pretty much the same if you decide to go do this as the Horde. It just has different characters. So, let's get started. An expedition team was recently sent out to an uncharted island and has gone missing. You, as a new recruit, have been dispatched to find out what happened to the lost team. The first thing you do is speak to Captain Garrick. She tells you to prepare yourself because we're getting really close to the island where the expedition team was lost, and says to warm up on the combat dummies on the ship, which you do, no problem. After that, Captain Garrick says that it's good that you kept up on your training while on the voyage. She then mentions how she's really concerned about the sudden change in weather. But never mind that. Now she wants you to spar with Private Cole while she goes and speaks to the ship's crew. Your sparring session with Cole will determine where you'll be placed on the initial expedition team to go find the lost expedition team. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So you run up to Private Cole. He says that he hopes that this rain isn't a bad omen because this is just supposed to be a simple rescue mission. Then says that you'll be sparring with him today because they want to make sure that you can handle yourself once we make landfall. So you spar with Private Cole and pretty much kick his butt. After that, you speak with Cole again. He says that you and the new recruits are a promising group. Then you notice a sound, and Cole says that something is heading this way. Basically, it's a really big bad storm. So you head inside to speak to Captain Garrick. She says that the ship may not make it to the island, and that you should hold on to something sturdy. Sure enough, Captain Garrick was right, because right then and there, a large wave takes out the ship, leaving you stranded on the island. Luckily, Captain Garrick made it and calls you over. She's happy that you're alive and says that judging by the nearby shipwrecks, it's safe to say that the missing expedition ran aground over here. But we can't move until we've got the remaining survivors back on their feet. And unfortunately, the salvaged supplies have been stolen by the Murlocs, which sucks because you need to recover the first aid kits for the wounded. So you need to retrieve 6 of them from the local Murlocs. Now you head out and kill Murlocs until you've picked up 6 first aid kits. Then you head back to Captain Garrick to report. When you show her the first aid kits, she says that we need to patch everyone up before we can begin the search for the missing expedition. So she wants you to use the first aid kits on Austin Huxworth, Bjorn Stouthands, and Key La. Also, Captain Garrick heals Cole, so if you were worried about him lying there, don't. He's not dead. Now you head out and heal the 3 survivors from the ship. After that, you return to Captain Garrick. Now that the survivors have been patched up, we can head out and look for the missing expedition. She then rewards you with the empty first aid kit, which is basically a 6-slot bag. Captain Garrick says that she saw some fire near some wreckage up ahead, and says that we should investigate it, but also says that you should stick with her since you're new to this sort of thing. She tells the rest of the crew to start looking all over the island, while the 2 of you head north. Once you reach the fire, you find a Draenei lying on the ground, who only says a few words. The others, taken, need food. Captain Garrick says that her name is Ilaria, and that she's a shaman that was with the lost expedition. She's also starving to death, and she needs to eat something like right now. So Captain Garrick wants you to collect 5 pieces of raw meat from the local wildlife in the area. Then come back and cook it over the campfire, because if you can help Ilaria regain her strength, then maybe she'll be able to tell you about what happened to the others. Before you go, Ilaria mentions someone named Henry, who was part of the lost expedition team, and who happens to be Captain Garrick's son. I guess things are starting to unfold as to who's who in this story. So now you head out and kill the local animals until you've collected 5 pieces of raw meat. Then you head back to the camp and begin to cook. As you cook the meat, Ilaria mentions that the Quillboar ambushed the expedition. Great, Quillboars again. Yeah, Quillboars suck. Now you give Ilaria the cooked meat. And after she eats, she instantly feels a lot better and tells you that you need to keep moving because the Quillbore have kidnapped the lost expedition team, including Captain Garrick's son, Henry. You're then rewarded with some tough jerky that you can use later on in your adventures. Now you speak with Captain Garrick, who tells you that we're gonna have to go into the Quillbore's den, and that this won't be easy because the Quillbore are far more aggressive than the Murlocs that you faced earlier. And then, for some reason, she wants to have a sparring session with you to make sure that she's not sending you to your death. But when you do, you quickly find out that this is meant to teach you exactly how to play the class that you chose at the beginning. Nice touch, Blizzard. Not bad. After the sparring match, you speak with Ilaria. She tells you that the Quillbore kidnapped the rest of the expedition team and took them up north, and heard something about them needing more sacrifices for some sort of ritual. So now you head north with Captain Garrick, until you come across Austin Huxworth, who you helped out earlier on the shore. He says that he's got some good news and some really bad news. From what Austin can gather, the Quillbore are performing a necromantic ritual on one of the expedition members. Their chief is Geolord Grekog, and he's the one that's about to start draining some life. Austin wants you to kill him and save the captive member of the expedition team. He also mentions that Quillbore rarely practice any other kind of magic other than geomancy. Geomancy? You know what I'm trying to say. But these particular Quillbores are starting to dabble in necromancy, and they need to be stopped before they start raising a whole army of undead. So while you're in the den, kill 7 Quillbore within the Briar Patch. Now Captain Garrick seems pretty eager to get in there and find her son, which Austin replies by saying that he didn't really see him, but he's pretty sure that he's still alive. So they run up ahead. You then follow them straight into the Quillbore den. Once you arrive, you kill the 7 that Austin wanted you to take out. Plus, you handle the situation with the chief. After he's dead, the expedition member that you needed to save runs out of the den. And as you follow him, you meet up with Austin, Captain Garrick, and the expedition member, Lindy Springstock. Austin says good work, and hopes that the Quillbore learn that necromancy is not a path to power. He then rewards you with the dented plate mitts for having dealt with all that stuff back in the den. Now you speak to Lindy Springstock. He thanks you for saving his life, and mentions that he heard that you were looking for Henry Garrick. Luckily, he happens to have something called a Scoutomatic 5000, which can be used to fly into the air, so that you can see the entire area. Lindy then unshrinks the Scoutomatic 5000, because it was in its smaller size for traveling, and sets it up for use, so that you can fly into the air and scout out the area. Once you do, you see a large army of undead, and Henry Garrick in the middle being tortured by someone named Gorgroth, who happens to be mentioning something about raising a dragon from the dead. After witnessing that, you return to the group and tell them about what you saw. From here, you begin to devise a plan to stop Henry's sacrifice and prevent the raising of a dragon from the afterlife. So we're obviously not done with this zone, but I gotta say this. Compared to how Blizzard did their quest lines back in the day, like around Burning Crusade time, Blizzard, this is how you do it. Awesome story, great character exposition, streamlined adventure. This is some great stuff. It's simplistic, but it's also just something that captivates you and makes you want to know more. So next week, we'll continue summarizing the events on Exiles Reach. And a big shout out to the Patreon subscribers for supporting this channel. Every bit helps in making these videos possible. If you'd like to help out, then go ahead and check out the Patreon link down below. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time when we find out what happens next in the Tales of Azeroth. Have been dispatched, have been dispatched.